Number 4, enjoy simple things. What's that? Well, that's up to you, right? Simple to me is going for a walk with my dogs, taking my dogs out for a walk, right? I love doing that in the morning when I can, before I go to work. In between me waking up and being still, which to me is another important thing, that's simple to me. I don't have to grab my phone, even if it's just to turn it off. Maybe that's why I grab my phone. But other than that, I put my phone down and I will sit and I will be in stillness and quiet just like this. Right? When I lived in New York City, I used to like to wake up early in the morning. I woke up for work anyway, but I would wake up a couple of hours early. And I lived in an area that was close to a train station. I had a train station around the corner from me, but I had an above the ground train line that went from the city into Long Island. And I sometimes would hear the train, but sometimes I would just hear the cars, because I also behind me, in front of me was a main like road, but I more so, because I was off that street, behind me was another major road. And I would hear sometimes the lull. I used to call it the lull of the morning. That was my word. I love listening to the lull of the morning. And that sounded like sometime the call to prayer in my neighborhood. It sounded like sometimes the bump of the wheel of the cars going over that roadway. Not necessarily horns, but just a little bump. And sometimes it wasn't much of a sound. It was just a little buzzing. And so that's simple to me. Taking my dogs for a walk, right? That's simple to me. Sometimes going for a walk and getting an ice cream. Sometimes going for a drive. Simplicity, right? Enjoy the simple things. Search and figure out what that is for you and enjoy those things as much as you can. Maybe on a daily basis or a weekly basis, or take time on the weekend. Take time in your schedule to enjoy those things. If you work a lot, take a break at work, right? You should have a break, I hope. And maybe during that break, instead of being on the phone or being on the internet, maybe you go for a walk. If there's a park nearby, put your feet in some grass or just step on into nature, right? Enjoy the simple things. Number 5, laugh out loud. Laugh until you grasp your breath. And if you have friends that make you laugh, spend lots and lots of time with them, right? Laugh out loud. Now I'm going to admit something to you. I don't consider myself the kind of person that it's easy to make me laugh. And I say that because there have been things, and these are more, like things that are on TV maybe, but there have been things that people have found funny that I don't. Over the holiday season recently, I ended up watching a bunch of holiday movies. And there was a particular set of movies that's very popular. I'm not going to say the name because I probably can't. It's hard for that. But there's a particular really popular movie that I had never seen. And my partner and my family were like, "You didn't see that movie?" It was like, "Yeah." I was like, "No, I've never seen the movie." And it was like, I think 3 or 4 movies for that series of movies. And not all of them were centered around the holiday, but there was one. So I ended up watching, I think, 2 or 3 of the movies. It may have been all in one sitting. And I'm going to say this to you. I didn't find any of them really funny. I got the humor and what they were trying to say, but nothing that happened in any of those movies made me laugh out loud. Not a one. And I've had TV shows that people watch, that are in syndication, that are rerun, stuff that I grew up on, and I watch now, and I'm like, that wasn't funny. I don't get it, right? And so, yeah, find what that is for you. I found random things on the internet that made me laugh, right? I found movies that made me laugh. I didn't know it was going to make me laugh. Comedians that make me laugh. Find and center yourself around people, movies, TV shows that make you laugh, because laughter is good for the soul. It's good for your heart. It's good for your being on a whole, right? So make that a part of your life. Number 6, tears happen. Endure, grieve, move on. The only person who's ever with us all our lives is you. Live while you're alive. Now, That's probably kind of loaded because, you know, when we lose a loved one or we lose someone important to us, right? There's a grief process. And I'm not here to tell you that it's easy to get past a loss. But I believe that, you know, when I wrote that, you know, I was saying it as like, you know, writing it fast, but there's more layers to that. I lost my grandmother a couple years ago. And when it happened, I was both surprised and not at the same time. And when I say it, it's not because I expected her to leave. It was more so that when I got the phone call, I had a feeling. And it was my intuition. Something picked up, and my sister called me. That's how I found out. But I've been trying to reach her for some time. I couldn't reach her. But she had had some health issues over the course of the years. So when I say I wasn't surprised, it's more so because when I got the call, not because of that issue, because she'd had health issues for a time and still was around. I got to see her one-on-one, so to speak. I got to spend time with her, I would say her body, before all the family and all that in the ceremony. And I cried. And it still sits with me. When her birthday comes, when that time of year comes, which is coming up. But guess what? Over time, I feel like the random, and I don't, maybe not that random, but the sorrowful tears, the things I have, don't come as often as when it first happened. But also, sometimes those tears are happier tears because I'm thinking of a fond memory of her. And so I like to look at it this way. Only you can know what it takes to grieve. And I'm not even going to say get through the grieving process, because a lot of times when it comes to grief, things that happen, it could have been 10 years ago, sometimes still feel like they happen today. So I'm not going to judge your grieving process or even tell you exactly how to get through it. What I will say is do what you can and what it takes and what works for you. And also take the sorrow, but also take those memories that are good, right? Make those just as important as the sorrow. Because oftentimes when we grieve a loss of a person, it's because we wish they were still here. We wish they could see whatever. We really wish we had more time. We all have a time though. And so with that being said, I would say that, you know, you take those things and, you know, take, I won't say the good with the bad, but look at both, right? No, someone not being here is not a good thing, right? However, maybe there's a way to flip that script, right? You know, well, my grandmother's no longer in pain. I miss her, but she's no longer in pain, right? She was in pain consistently. No, she doesn't get to see me accomplish certain things, but while she was here, she knows how much I loved her. I knew how much she loved me. I remember going to her house when I was a kid. I remember the meals she used to cook for me, the bun and cheese she used to offer me, the different things, right? I remember that she worked a lot, and so sometimes I wouldn't see her when I was growing up, or we would all be at her house, all my family members at her house, and she'd be at work. But guess what? I feel like I could get some of my work ethic from her, and I admired that. And I didn't realize until I was an adult that I admire that, right? So those are some ways I feel to be able to help with the grief. And sometimes grief isn't about losing a person, it's about losing a job, right? And, you know, sometimes losing a relationship. It isn't always death, right? But loss is loss, right? And I'm not going to equate losing my grandmother to losing a job or even losing a partner. But either way, I can grieve. You can lose a really long-term friendship. That happened to me years ago. I chose to let go of a friendship. And honestly, it was one of the hardest things I had to do because I cared about this person. I still care about this person. But I realized that this person was not serving my higher good. There was a lot of things that went on in that person's life. And I no longer could give any more energy to that friendship. It was more pulling and drawing from me in ways that weren't always good, right? And there was no real reciprocity there. And so I would say that, you know, for me, I made a choice. But just whether you make a choice to separate from something or something goes away from you, it's still grief. So honor that, process that, you know, and allow what you need to do to grow through it and go through it.